and welcome to this video on the Life After Brady channel. Today we're going to go through the divisional slate for the 2023 playoffs. We'll go in chronological order, starting with the Kansas City Chiefs beating the Jacksonville Jaguars 27-20, narrowly escaping with the Patrick Mahomes injury, including the Chad Henne drive, which we'll get to shortly. They outscore Jacksonville and Kansas City. Key stat of the game for me, the 2 turnovers, a fumble, and an interception for the Jaguars versus Kansas City. Played a clean game, 0 turnovers. Yardage-wise, as we'll get into in a second, very close game. But turnover-wise, the Jaguars came up short, which is how they're a touchdown short in this one. A couple other things we saw: first downs from penalties, 2 first downs from penalties for the Chiefs that they were able to get, and then the red zone. They were 3 for 3 versus Jaguars being 2 for 3. Just in a game of inches like this, that's going to make a big difference. And then possession-wise, the Chiefs did control this game more with about 10 minutes more possession time that they were able to control. Key play of the game has to be Patrick Mahomes. This high ankle sprain that he sustained at the 153 mark of this game. They were rocking and rolling. His mobility was the key, able to outduel the Jaguars pass rushers early on in this game, extend plays to get the gains of Travis Kelce. He goes down with that injury, continues on for a field goal drive before Chad Henne comes in for a touchdown drive later on, but then Mahomes comes back. But this is really what made it close, but also his ability to come back and play is how they were able to win the game. The key drive of it, to me, is actually where Mahomes was on the sidelines. So Mahomes continued on after that, and then second quarter, about 10 minutes left or so, they go on a 12-play, 98-yard drive. And this is what championship teams do to go up 16-7. They started off what I liked with a Henne pass to Kelce. Pacheco got him going, and then again, so 3 quick plays to get you out to the 23-yard line when you start at year 2. That makes a big difference. And then they trusted Henne. 3rd and 3 on that 23 on this same set of first downs. Pass to Tony to get you to the 31. And then another big play, 3rd and 3 at the Kansas City 38. Get the penalty on Arden Key, roughing the passer, to extend the drive even further before, again, a touchdown pass to Travis Kelce. So, you trust your guy. He's not going to make mistakes, at least, but he also made plays for them. It's the key drive of the game. The key player, though, was Travis Kelce, whether it was Henne on that drive or Mahomes for the rest of the game. 14 receptions for 98 yards, 2 touchdowns. Just phenomenal. The 14 receptions was the most on the season, I believe. The 17 targets, I believe, was also the most. 14 might have been tied for a game against the Raiders, I believe, was the other game. But he's just been phenomenal. This is going back to 2013. Most receptions you just see this year, 110 receptions. They lose Tyreek Hill, so maybe some less yards for Kelce to make plays with more space. Now that Tyreek Hill's gone, but hey, he's the one getting the ball. 110 receptions on 152 targets. He's a stud even at the ripe age of 33. Continues then that into the divisional round. That moves us on to the Saturday night slate. A much different affair. The Eagles blow out the Giants 38-7. It was 28-0 at the half, and this one was an absolute snoozer. It was a snoozer thanks to the running game. You see the running backs as well as Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts not the best, but the running backs, Boston Scott, Miles Sanders, and then Gainwell, all over 5 yards of carry. Gainwell with nearly 10 yards of carry. You're just not going to win if you can hand the ball to your running back and get 5 yards every play. That's what the Eagles were able to do. We see this here. 13 first downs for the Giants versus 26 for the Eagles, and then rushings, 17 first downs. They just ran it down their throats. They couldn't stop them to the tune of 6.1 yards per rush. The Giants also had, nearly 6 yards a rush, but on far fewer attempts, as they had to play catch up with the 27 pass attempts. The other big difference to me, just when the Eagles got down there, they made them pay. 4 for 5 in the red zone. They didn't kick field goals. They punched it in. That's how you go up 28-0. Absolutely dominating performance by the Philadelphia Eagles. Not a whole lot of key plays in a game of that magnitude, that score, but I'll go with this one. This is the second drive of the game, and basically, it was over after the next drive, which we'll get to in a second. But Giants are down 7-0. They're at the 40, kind of no man's land. You obviously don't want to be punting from there too long for a 57-yard field goal. Daniel Jones takes the sack with Hassan Reddick. Hassan Reddick had a phenomenal game we'll get to in a second. And just just didn't work out for them. As you can see, Daniel Jones, forced to pass more, 5 sacks, 26 yards, 1.5 of them were by Reddick. The QBR bad, the QB rating bad. Just not where he wanted to be. And then against the Vikings, he was able to run wild. Only 6 carries for 24 yards against the Eagles. They really did a great job containing him Saturday night. The key drive is that following drive after this play. So they stop him at the 48. They're then going to go 8 plays, 52 yards, including this 3rd and 1 from the Giants' 43, where they go 14 yards to get to the 29. And then Devontae Smith, 2nd and goal, 9 yards for the touchdown. 14-0. Really no looking back from there. The key player of the game was Reddick, as I said. 5 tackles, 4 of them solo. 1.5 sacks, a tackle for loss, and 3 QB hits. He put pressure on Jones all night. We look at a little bigger picture, similar to what we did with Kelsey. Started off as a high first-round draft pick with the Cardinals. A couple of years there, and then he's just gotten more and more dominant rushing the passer. This year, 16 sacks, 41 QB pressures. Just really getting involved again after the quarterback, less so than being more an off-the-ball linebacker and making plays in the middle of the Arizona defense early on in his career. This moves us to Sunday, kind of another snoozer in a snow-covered day in Buffalo. Bengals win 27-10 over the Bills. Again, went up 14-0, and just really never put the Bills within striking distance. Joe Burrow came out hot and just kept it that way. Big difference for me was the rushing yards, similar to the Eagles game at 5.1 yards per rush, and then at the other hand, 3.3 yards per rush for Buffalo. Buffalo just never got their rushing game going all season, as we'll get to in a second. Just Devin Singletary, Cook, Hines, they were never able to really get going on the ground versus Mixon and company. Came with a mission. On a snowy day, they were able to do it. Passing-wise, as we'll get to in a second, semi-similar, 262 versus 240, though obviously Allen's fighting back the whole day. Very similar stuff, not a lot of sacks. Turnover-wise, that's what I thought would have been the difference, but only 1 pick from Josh Allen on a day he had to throw it most of the time. Not bad. And then the other thing to me, just showing the beating, 30 first downs for the Bengals versus 18 for the Bills, and of those 30 first downs, only 6 of them came on 3rd down. They did their work early, thanks to that 5.1 yards per rush complemented by the 6.5 yards per pass. They just got their work done early, got it done on 1st and 2nd down, kept the ball moving down the field to the tune of those 27 points. And we have here the rushing attacks for both teams. As I said, Mixon led the way, 20 carries, 105 yards, 5.3 yards per carry, complemented by Pirine doing a nice job. And then you just see here, on a snow-covered day, so have to be 6 for 24, only 4 yards in tap, and then Cook complimenting him, if you can say that, with 2.6 yards per attempt. The key play of the game, similar to the Eagles game, kind of hard to have a key play with the score the way it is, but we'll go with the 2nd touchdown, capping off a 10-play, 72-yard drive. 3rd and 7 from the Buffalo 15, and you're able to get to Hayden Hurst for 15 yards for the touchdown. Really put the game away right there for Joe Burrow and company. The key drive of the game, could have gone with that same drive, but we'll go with this one. First drive of the second half, the Bengals went up 14-0. We were able to kick a field goal later in the first half, and then, hey, maybe the Bills are in striking distance. Bengals come out in the second half, go 12 plays, 75 yards, take up 6.5 minutes, and just, put this game out of reach, go up 2 touchdowns. Obviously, the Bills could have come back after this, but they basically were able to keep that 2-touchdown lead throughout. The key play again to Hayden Hurst, going for 13 yards on the 3rd and 10 from the Buffalo 40. And then I think this really characterizes the game for Buffalo. We didn't point it out, but they had 8 penalties for 60 yards compared to 2 penalties for 9 yards for the Bengals. You see here defensive pass interference, too many men on the field, and then an encroachment penalty, all within the 5-yard line, just giving the Bengals too many plays to score a touchdown, and they obviously cap it off there with the Mixon run to put this game out of reach. The key players, it's the offensive line. I don't have all 5 here. This is Jackson Carman and Ted Karras, the tackle in the center. With a couple of guys down, they really stepped up on a snow-covered day. They're the ones that made the difference. We see here from Ben Baby, Cincinnati averaging 4.3 yards per rush before contact, really letting P. Ryan and Mixon get loose thanks to this offensive line, and then keeping Joe Burrow upright with limited sacks on the day. We wrap up with probably the most highly anticipated game of the weekend. Two storied franchises, the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers. Really a defensive slugfest. 49ers win 19-12 thanks to 10 fourth quarter points by Brock Purdy and company. Key stat of the game was in the red zone. 1 for 3 for both teams. I use this more as an indictment of Dak than I do on Purdy. Kyle Shanahan can get guys open. He can playbook with the best of them. But in the red zone, you're just going to kind of, your guys have to make plays. And we would have thought Dak Prescott, CD Lamb, those guys would be able to make plays versus Brock Purdy. They basically did the same, both 1 for 3. And that's how this game was so close. In terms of other plays, to me, 49ers kind of kicked their butt a little bit in terms of just the first downs, 21-14. That's also just more the Cowboys had a little bit more chunk plays versus the 49ers would kind of work their way down the field. Another indictment on Dak to me, 5.6 yards per pass for Dak versus 6.7 for the 49ers. Purdy did not outplay Dak. That's not what I'm trying to say. But he was just as good. 200 yards passing is plenty good versus a guy that is supposed to be a top-tier quarterback, and he's just not. Because they both did not have much support from the rushing attacks, both 3.5 yards per rush. Not much help there. And then turnover-wise, the 2 turnovers by Dak are a killer, as well as the 7 penalties. Just kind of the Cowboys, a couple too many mistakes here compared to the 49ers, allowing them to win this game. The key play to me, the second half, there was a couple of key plays, a couple of key third downs, but I'll go to the second quarter, minute 24 to go, 2nd and 2, and then tip ball that really was not a good pass to CD Lamb. 49ers guy tipped it. Fred Warner catches it for the interception. Red zone interceptions are going to kill you. Did your kicker make it with the yips? I don't know. But he certainly is not going to get an attempt, and you really are looking to score touchdowns at 2nd and 2 from the San Francisco 18. They aren't able to do it. For me, that's the key play of the game. The key drive of the game, though, obviously, those 10 points in the fourth quarter. This is the biggest one. 10 plays, 91 yards. They go 6 minutes. Only 1 third down on the drive. Kind of similar to what the Bengals were doing earlier. They were rocking and rolling, getting on 1st and 2nd down. This third down was a sack by Purdy, but George Kittle was clearly held. Automatic first down, and then Chris McCaffrey punches it in several plays later to start off the fourth quarter. Key player of the game is Fred Warner. In a game that's 19-12, you can't give it an offensive guy. Fred Warner dominated this game in the middle of the field for the 49ers. 9 tackles, 7 of them solo, 1 tackle for a loss, and 1 pass deflected on a CD Lamb play. It was phenomenal. D'Amico Ryans is going to partially get a job because of what Fred Warner's done, but D'Amico's put him in a good position all year, and Fred Warner has a chance to do something special next week against the Philadelphia Eagles when they play to start conference championship weekend before finishing off with the Chiefs and the Bengals. Thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and check us out next time.